Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Everyday Carry for Everyday Guys. So today we're going to be looking at one of the most controversial topics in all of firearm carrying modern history. Appendix inside the waistband. I'm going to answer all the questions I get asked about AIWB in this video, or at least try to provide a broad spectrum of answers for any question someone may ask. Firstly, the question is, do they suck? The answer, guys, legitimately is yes. It does suck, right? It's not comfortable to carry an appendix inside the waistband holster. I carry AIWB, by the way, as opposed to not carrying one. Get that out of your head immediately, right? It's the comfortability scale between carrying an appendix holster and not carrying one is, if 10 out of 10 is not carrying one is 0 out of 10. The two comfort levels are not comparable, okay? It's not like wearing a sweatpants versus wearing a jeans. It's two different things entirely. So it is not inherently comfortable. The only difference between people who carry appendix inside the waistband and those who don't is that those who do have decided that they are willing to sacrifice a little bit of comfort for the capability that it provides. Now, where it comes to capability, there's a trade-off. Comfort versus capability. You have to decide where your equilibrium, where your balance level is, to where you're willing to sacrifice a bit of comfort for the capability, and where you're willing to sacrifice a bit of capability for a bit of comfort. For example, let's just empty everything quickly, just 1 second. Currently, by the way guys, side note, Powertac, the Mark Mini Torch SA are having 35% off all Powertacs from tomorrow until I think it's the 3rd or 4th of April. I'll leave it down below. I'll leave a link to them down below, so if you want to get your hand on some Powertacs, 35% off on Torch SA's website. Side note. Okay, what was I saying? Appendix inside the waistband holsters. Capability. If I'm driving, I have my holster right here. If I'm seated, I have my holster right here. If someone's on top of me, I can use my hips to create space and I have my holster right here. If someone's in front of me, I can turn my hips. Your hips are very powerful, okay? It's very rare that you can't turn your hips. And I've got access to my holster. My weapons platform is entirely in front of me. When I draw my firearm, I don't have to move any other piece of my body except my hands to get that firearm up and into the fight. And there are many more capabilities, but we'll get to the examples. The long and short of it, guys, is I think Jack Sparrow said it best when he said, life is about what a man can do and what a man can't do, okay? If you can't carry appendix inside the waistband, if you're not prepared to sacrifice that comfort, or you find carrying other positions more comfortable, that is okay. Can we please, as the EDC community, stop slating people for their carry positions unless they're carrying dangerously? Appendix inside the waistband is not dangerous, okay? Pretty much every instructor I know carries appendix because of the advantages, the speed and the accessibility advantages. I'm going to get to some B-roll, not B-roll, actually I'm going to switch the camera a second and I'm going to show you standing, sitting, kneeling, drawing appendix versus drawing Strongside, reholstering appendix versus reholstering Strongside. I'm going to go through the entire spectrum for you guys. So that I can answer this once and for all. So something I see people do a lot of, when I was taught to reholster Strongside, believe it or not, I did carry Strongside for quite a while. I was always taught, after whatever you're doing, bring it in, achieve a pectoral index, look down, clear your cover garment, keep your thumb against the inside of your body, and you slide that guy down. My slide just dropped forward, but that's fine. As you know, we empty and safe. And that is how I was taught to reholster from Strongside, right? Nothing pretty much pointed at my body. What I see a ton on the range is, guys, we are empty and safe. I just want to reiterate that point. They shoot, bang, 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 they bring it in, and I see that, right? And they fiddle about here a bit, and eventually they find the holster. This happens especially when people are carrying further around the back. If they don't have that maneuverability and that flexibility, they can't even look, right? So what happens is you tend to find this situation, you fiddle a bit for your holster and eventually you get it, okay? So the whole notion of like you flagging something when you're carrying appendix, when you reholster it's dangerous, etc., etc., it's equally dangerous if you reholster poorly in carrying in the strong side position. That comes down to training, okay? If you have a negligent discharge in the appendix position, you probably would have had that same problem in the strong side position. At least when I'm holstering in the appendix position, I can lift up, I can look down, and I can seat that sucker. Holstering strong side, I'm a fairly flexible guy, so I can still look down and get that guy in there. But if it starts coming around to my back, yeah, I suppose I could, but not everyone has that flexibility. Sorry if you didn't hear me, I said, when it starts coming out my back, I suppose I could find that holster, still visually see it, right? But not everyone has that flexibility. So a lot of people are just basically doing this. When they go, they shoot, bang, bang. Sorry, I'm looking at them like they shoot, bang, bang. They come in and they can't see, so they fiddle about at the back here and eventually, oh, there's my holster. You get what I'm trying to say. Your safety when reholstering is not a measure of where your holster is situated. It's a measure of your training and your understanding of fundamental firearm safety with your equipment. I recently posted a picture of a setup quite similar to this, where I had my knife in the 11 o'clock position and I had my firearm in the 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock obviously being center. And someone made a comment of what a stupid place to carry a knife. This is an excellent place to carry a knife in your, and I'm considering this whole area your appendix position. So this is an excellent place to carry a knife. If you're in a conflict situation and someone is on you or really close to you, your hip muscles and your hip mobility, the whole unit, is probably the strongest in your body. So if you were going to sort of go for a defensive posture, right, you could very easily turn your hips, step into that person, and you'd still have access to your blade, right? Similarly, so let's say that's if someone has you pinned up against the wall. Similarly, if someone doesn't have you pinned up against the wall and you want to move backwards, the same thing. You achieve that defensive posture, turn your hips, and you have access to your blade. If I do that same thing with my knife on either of my hips, it becomes a bit difficult, right? Also, a lot of people like to carry their knife small at the back. I understand it has some advantages, but a couple of disadvantages. If you're on your back, if you're in your car, if you're seated in a restaurant, if you're in a taxi, if anywhere where your back is up against something, you then begin to have problems. What's nice about having your knife in front of you is your workspace is directly in front of you, right? It's a really good place to carry your tool. The whole notion of carrying a knife in the appendix position, now I don't carry this particular knife because it isn't ideal. I would ideally like something that is downward facing, because doing this is much easier than doing that. Right, so that is a platform that I will invest in. Comfortability wise, how comfortable is it? It's kind of like appendix. It's how comfortable are you willing to be versus how capable you're willing to be. If you're going to cry about it and moan about it, don't do it, move on, do something else. But the whole deal with appendix carry is you are sacrificing a bit of comfort for a high level of capability. So guys, a few more reasons I like appendix. I like everything in front of me. I have my weapon right in front of me. I have my spare mag right in front of me. I know where my tools are. If I need to create space, I can just turn my hips and I've got space. If I need to do a reload for whatever the reason that may be, I've got all my tools right where I need them. Also, if my dominant hand gets hit and is out of the fight, it's a lot easier for me to continue the fight with my weekend, right? Whereas if I was carrying this in the strong side position, say somewhere over here, this hand gets out of the equation, you know, now we start having problems. If I'm on my back, if I'm on my side, if I'm in a vehicle, having my tools all around the rear of my body means a lot of twisting motions and things like that, unnecessary movement. Whereas if it's in front, it's right there and ready to go. It's not gonna work for everyone, but the system definitely does work. Okay guys, so something I get told an absolute ton is that someone carrying appendix can't tie their shoelaces. Let me dispel that myth for you immediately. Firstly, one of the things you're going to need to do if you want to do this and you struggle with it, if you don't struggle, fine, but if you do, get your opposite knee to the loose shoelace on the ground and open up your foot. See, I'm opening up my foot a bit. That gives you access to whatever you need down here. Right, I'll move it back so you can see. So I'm tying my right shoelace, all good and well. I'm picking up something off the floor, no problem. I'm looking for something, no problem. Similarly, the other foot, get your right leg on the ground, bring the other foot up, open up your hips a bit if you can, and you tie your shoelace. I can't believe I haven't teach people to tie shoelaces, but that's the reality of it. The problem a lot of people have with appendix is that they don't bend at the knees when they want to bend over. Bending at the knees is the more biologically better way of doing things than bending over and keeping your knees straight. So most people are bending at the waist. That's not a good way to do things for your back. Bend at the knees, and you'll have access to everything you need to have access to. I'm running a PL Pro holster with mag carrier, and I'm on the ground, and if I need to pick something up, look for something, guys, work the problem. It's not impossible. If it's hurting you a bit, or if it's digging in, straighten out that leg, and you can bend all the way down. Make it work. The advantages of carrying appendix outweigh the disadvantages, and learn to just deal with a bit of discomfort. You know, this is the holster I'm running, and it's tight. Freaking Southwest holsters clips have become so tight. Here we go. Not a small setup. Okay guys, then just with efficiency of motion, most people when they draw from Strongside, they do this lean over, and that's basically just to get access to the firearm, especially if you're on the bigger side. So what it'll look like is they'll clear their cover garment, it'll be like a bit of a lean. They would draw, center up again, and then present. I always try to do as little body movement as possible when I did carry in this position. So I'd keep my head and body as stationary as possible. I believe it was Larry Vickers who said the art of shooting fast is to move only the gun in your hand and nothing else. So I keep my eyes focused on the bad guy, and I draw my firearm, and I have as little unnecessary movement as possible. Try to do the same thing when I'm rehearsing, but I still see a lot of that type deal, right? When it comes to appendix, you don't really have that problem. So if you pay attention to my head and body movement as I draw from appendix, nothing really moves besides my hands and the firearm. Everything else stays exactly stationary when holstering and reholstering. So that is why I think I would go so far as to say appendix is faster. Now it's not faster for everyone, because some people are more trained than other people, but I would say the fastest person who draws from appendix is probably going to be faster than the fastest person who draws from inside the waistband 3, 4, 5 o'clock, because everything is just central. It's a very easy motion. Nothing has to move in drawing your firearm as well as in holstering. Yes, I can sit down with my appendix rig on. People who carry appendix rigs sit down every single day. It is possible. Stop saying it's impossible. Sitting down is possible. Driving your car is possible. Going to the toilet is possible. The same way you go to the toilet with your Strongside rig is probably the exact same thing with your appendix rig. Okay? It is all possible. Also, guys, I've said this before, it is never okay to ask someone how they go to the toilet in a condescending manner, right? If you really want to know and you really want some advice about it, it's fine. But when you start questioning how people go to the toilet condescendingly, you begin to look a bit silly, okay? You can sit down and you can lean forward if you want to. And here's a top tip. If your holster is beginning to dig a bit, just put your hands on your sides. Look at my thumbs, slide them underneath your holster and just bring it forward slightly to relieve any pressure that might be there. Let me do this. Take your thumbs, put them on your side, slide them underneath your holster. Just bring the holster up and forward slightly, and it will relieve any pressure points that you might be feeling when you're sitting down. It can be done. The reality of it is, guys, is that it is not comfortable. I'm just okay with sacrificing a bit of comfort for the capability of having my knife in centrally, or my firearm centrally, or whatever the case may be. If for whatever reason, let's say you are and this is the most common reason you're overweight or you have a bit of a belly, right? So appendix isn't as comfortable for you as you would like. That's okay, okay? It's not the fault of the holster or the carry position or the fact that you can't bend down when carrying an appendix holster. We need to, instead of breaking people down in the EDC community, we need to start supporting them, especially people who are new to EDC. Okay, if your lifestyle, life choices, medical reasons, whatever the case may be, dictates that you have a big belly or an uncomfortable belly and carrying an appendix isn't comfortable for you, don't go point out the next man who can do it and try to belittle him for the fact that he can do something. Maybe he's younger than you, fitter than you, led a different lifestyle, has a whole different reason as to why he can do that. Okay, I find it's very common on all forms of social media for people who can't carry appendix or who refuse to try to berate people who can and who choose to. Don't be that guy. At the end of the day, all you want next to you is an EDCer, a man who's willing to take his protection and the protection of those he loves into his own hands, because you might need that EDCer, right? You might be the guy carrying Strongside who spent his whole life insulting guys who carry appendix, and at the moment of reckoning, you might not have access to your firearm, or someone next to an appendix might be able to get their firearm out and into the fight quicker than you and save your own life. At the end of the day, guys, doesn't matter where you carry, as long as you're carrying safely, you're part of this EDC community, and as brothers, we should support each other. Guys, don't forget, Powertac, they are having a special as of tomorrow, 29th, on Torch SA's website. Link is down below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, guys. I'll see you guys soon for a vlog or a review. Have a good week. Be safe. Train hard. Cheers. God bless.